Hey y'all, Tanami Kim, and today I'm going to be live reviewing episode 1 of Kabukichou Sherlock. And I gotta say, this episode was actually a surprise. Because I like how when this episode starts out, it pretty much just gives you the sense that it's going to be a drama-filled series with showing dim lighting, jazzy music. It had sort of like a film noir vibe, and I was like, "All right, I'm down with this. I'm liking the seriousness." And then immediately after, it just like as whiplash slaps me figuratively when it ends up being quite a nice comedy because you have one of the two main characters, because one of them is Watson, the other one is Sherlock Holmes. And like at first you get introduced to Watson, where he's trying to investigate some murders and all that kind of jazz, and he's trying to find, at least it implied that he's trying to find Jack the Ripper. And in doing that, he ends up into like this bar place where there's like these men that cross-dress, and then it ends into like random ass sequences where there's like a fucking, is literally his gluteus maximus, his ass gets touched randomly. I'm like, oh shit. Like, it's just hilarious because you don't expect this. Normally I'd expect something serious, so it wasn't night. So that's where a lot of the humor comes from the series. Like, it comes in places you don't expect. And then afterwards it leads to some comedy. Then you got these other investigators. They start looking for Jack the Ripper because there's like this murder where it's kind of suspected that it's Jack the Ripper, but as the episode progresses, it's actually someone else who murdered this chick. It wasn't Jack the Ripper specifically because essentially what happens in the episode and what's explained is there's this man who works for this other man in the bar, and he tries to hook up with this woman for sex, but she resists, so he pretty much kills this woman, and then to try to cover up his tracks, he tries to make it look like Jack the Ripper. But then throughout this episode, you have Sherlock Holmes analyze the whole situation, and then this man, the criminal, gets caught, but kind of like in a hilarious fashion, because you see the main character, and I'll explain it near the end of the review, but pretty much this person gets caught off screen, but the way this episode presented is like in a hilarious fashion. So all in all, I like it because as the episode progresses, you see Sherlock organically getting clues by analyzing like the scent of the woman that was murdered when he was like Bahamas. And then it goes into like even more insane stuff when he like starts to look at the footprints of the murderer, and then by that he can estimate the height of the person in centimeters and all that. And then when he looks at like the cigars in the crime scene, he looks at the quality. Then he realizes the person has got like a low salary, but it's not completely low salary, but it's decently well off. And all in all, I was just like, whoa, really, really nice stuff in the episode overall. And I like how it presents all this information organically without feeling too quick. So as the case is being resolved, I like how you have some bits of humor here and there to keep an audience entertained. And then when it finally comes time for Sherlock to break down a lot of the details about the investigation to Watson, he does like a random ass fucking stage play like thing talking to himself, and I'm just like, what the fuck is this? This is awesome. And it's really awesome in a way because for one, all the information is presented to the audience, but in a way that does not feel an exposition dump, while at the same time it's presented in a unique manner, because in most investigatory series or movies, it's usually presented with like a monologue or flashbacks or some dramatic way of doing it. Here, they present it through comedy, through a stage play that Sherlock does, and it doesn't feel out of character because this episode kind of establishes Sherlock Holmes as someone that's street smart and eccentric, so that when they finally do find the murderer, it's a pretty cool sequence. And I like how they even subvert our expectations there, because it isn't, well, Sherlock Holmes discovers who the criminal is. He wasn't the one who catches him. He actually gets caught off screen, I'm assuming by cops. And then afterwards, because you have a sequence where the main character Watson tries to go after the criminal, but then he accidentally hits Sherlock Holmes with the fucking car, and I'm just like, what the fuck? For a second, it looked like Sherlock Holmes might have died, but then I like how afterwards you see Sherlock Holmes reading this fucking newspaper, and then it implies that he's trying to make his dick go up, and then you have our main character Watson. He's gonna take care of Sherlock, at least while he's injured, because he's the one who bumped into him with the car. And then right when he wants to lift his dick up, and then you have Watson about to come in to fucking help out Sherlock. Sherlock's like, no, don't come in. And that was a great and hilarious way of ending off the episode. And that's why I felt the dialogue in this episode was nice, because it either made you laugh or progressed the plot of the investigation of who killed this woman. So all in all, I felt from a script standpoint it was nice. It flowed well, and from a character standpoint, you get surprisingly a good amount of characterization for Sherlock Holmes. You find he's street smart, and you find he doesn't really care about social cues too much. Because when they were in the portion of the episode when they were like in this fancy building, they literally analyzed like this woman, how she seems to have she puts on certain stuff, and then he sniffs her to figure out the type of material she uses, and I'm just like, I like how this dude has no shit. And that was pretty nice. And then you get some characterization for Watson where, well, it did show off his book smart, how, because he was able to analyze how the body parts that were sliced off of a woman, and he gave out specific details when he was investigating this body from afar. It shows off that he's in quite street smart, because there's a scene where this kid literally jacks some shit from him, and he doesn't notice until way later, until Sherlock points it out to him. So I also like that too. It did a great way of establishing personalities. And then, and on top of that, you can see that Watson gets flustered up by a woman really, really easily. So I kind of like that bit of the episode. It really does a nice job of giving us a feel for how our characters are. Animation and art were actually finally crafted, and that's why I feel this episode was a solid 7 out of 10, which is above average on my scale, because 5 is average on my scale, so I thought this was 2 points above average. And yeah, definitely recommend any of y'all who wants to see an investigation anime to check it out. I thought it was pretty good. Oh, and the voice performances were great too. So anyways, y'all, these are my thoughts on the episode. Be sure to comment on your thoughts on my reaction or how you felt about the episode. Rate the video, subscribe, share, and I'll see you guys later if you come back for more. Alright, y'all, thank you so much for watching. Have a great and safe day. Bye-bye.